You know that room. The one you walk past every single day, slow down for just a second, look at it, and then close the door again. You tell yourself the same thing every time. I'll deal with it this weekend. And then the weekend comes and somehow it never happens. Months go by, maybe longer. If that sounds familiar, this video is exactly what you've been waiting for. Because today I'm going to show you how to actually clear that space in 48 hours, even on the days when you have zero energy and zero motivation to care. And I don't mean some aggressive, everything must go overhaul. I mean a realistic, body-friendly approach that works around your energy, your emotions, and the fact that most of what's in that room actually means something to you. This is the Senior Reset, where we have honest conversations about living lighter, aging on your own terms, and actually enjoying the life you've worked so hard to build. We don't do toxic positivity here, and we don't do shame. Just real talk and real strategies for real people. If that's a conversation you want more of, hit subscribe right now because what's coming on this channel is worth showing up for every week. Now let's get into it. Here's what I want to start with, because it matters more than any tip or system I could give you. Most decluttering content treats this like a logistics problem. Like, the reason your spare room looks the way it does is because you haven't found the right bin system yet, or you just need someone to come in and boss you around for a Saturday. And that might be true if you've been in your home for 2 years. But if you've been there for 20, 30, 40 years, the problem isn't logistics. The problem is loyalty. Every single item in that room has a face attached to it. Your late husband's tools that you haven't touched, but can't move because moving them feels like erasing him. Your mother's china you never use, but couldn't imagine donating because who else is going to know what that pattern meant to her? The boxes of your kids' artwork and trophies they swore they'd come pick up and didn't, so now you're holding the weight of their entire childhood in your spare room. This is not clutter in the way people talk about clutter. This is history. This is love. In a lot of cases, this is grief. And you cannot solve a grief problem with a garbage bag. That's why when you sit down and try to just get started, something in you resists. That resistance isn't weakness. That resistance is your heart doing what hearts are supposed to do, which is honor the people and the life that mattered. The question isn't how to turn that off. The question is how to work with it, and that's what this whole video is built around. There's something else worth naming before we get into the system, and that's the physical reality of this kind of work. Decluttering involves bending, lifting, reaching, and making hundreds of small decisions in a row. Decision fatigue is real. After a certain number of choices, your brain starts defaulting to keep everything just to conserve energy. This isn't laziness. This is neuroscience. And for many of us, the body also has its own opinion about how much we can do before 2 in the afternoon. Any approach that ignores that isn't a real plan. So the 48-hour framework I'm going to walk you through is designed around the actual body and energy levels you have right now, not the ones you had 20 years ago. One more thing before we get into the framework. Whatever is in that room, however long it's been there, however many times you've walked past it, you are not behind. There is no timeline you failed to meet. You're here now, and that means something. Now let me walk you through exactly how the 48 hours breaks down, and I want to get ahead of something right away because I know what some of you are already thinking. You're thinking, I've tried this before. I sat down to spend an hour on it, opened one box, found something that completely undid me emotionally, and 3 hours later I was still sitting on the floor going through old photographs. So how is 90 minutes supposed to be enough? Here's the honest answer. 90 minutes won't clear the whole room. It's not supposed to. What 90 minutes does is prove that this is doable, that you can move through the space, make real decisions, and walk away without feeling destroyed. That's the first win. And first wins are what make second sessions possible, so here's how the 2 days actually look. Day 1 morning, you work for 90 minutes and only 90 minutes on the visible surfaces of one room, not the closet, not the drawers, just what you can see standing in the doorway. The reason you start with visible surfaces is simple. They give you the fastest feedback. When that counter is clear and that corner is sorted, you can see it immediately. That visual shift matters more than it sounds. After those 90 minutes, you stop. The afternoon is protected. You eat, you rest, you go outside if you want to. This is not optional, and it is not laziness. It's how you make sure day 2 actually happens. Because pushing through exhaustion on day 1 is exactly how people burn out and quit the whole thing. Day 1 evening, if you have 45 minutes and your body's willing, you come back for sorting. You're not hauling bags out yet, you're just making decisions about what you touched that morning. Which box does it belong in? That's it. Day 2. Morning is another 90-minute session in a second zone, maybe an adjacent area of the same room or a closet that's been quietly waiting. Then you move into removal, which means getting the decisions out of the house. I'll walk you through exactly how to do that in a few minutes. Day 2 afternoon is your finish line, and it comes with a closing ritual I'll give you at the end of this video, because how you end this experience matters just as much as how you start it. Will every session go exactly like this? Probably not. Some decisions take longer than expected. Something will come up that hits harder than you thought, and you'll need to sit down for a minute. That's not failure. That's just what honest work looks like. The framework is a guide, not a stopwatch. Now let's talk about the sorting system, because the standard keep, donate, trash advice you'll find everywhere doesn't have enough room in it for people who've lived a full life. So here's what I want you to use instead. 4 boxes, 4 different names, and the name matters more than you'd think, because the words we use change how the decision actually feels. Box 1 is called Still Serves Me. Not might need this someday, not I've always kept this. The question is simple and present tense. Does this still serve the life I'm actually living right now? Box 2 is called Better Somewhere Else. Not donating, not getting rid of. Better somewhere else. Your mother's sewing machine gathering dust in your closet could be used every single week by someone just learning to sew. That's not loss. That's the object finally fulfilling its purpose. You're not abandoning it, you're placing it. Box 3 is called It Served Its Time. This is your release box. The word trash triggers guilt. It served its time is a closing statement. It honors what the thing did before letting it go. The blender that made 20 years of smoothies. The shoes that carried you through a decade of mornings, they served their time. That's enough. And box 4 is the one most systems leave out entirely, and it's the most important one for this audience. Box 4 is called Not Yet. This is for everything that still has feelings attached that you're not ready to sort through. Your late spouse's belongings, the things your children gave you, anything that still carries weight you haven't had time to sit with, put it in box 4. Put box 4 somewhere visible, not hidden in a closet, just present, acknowledged, waiting. There is no deadline on box 4. There is no shame in it. It just means I know you're there, I'm not ignoring you, and I'll come back when I'm ready. The goal of these 48 hours is not to be ruthless. The goal is to be honest. Quick pause here. If this is already feeling different from every other decluttering video you've watched, that's intentional. The Senior Reset exists because most advice online was never made for people who've actually lived a life. If this is helping you, do me a favor and hit the like button right now. It tells YouTube this conversation is worth sharing with someone else who might really need it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Because next week we're talking about the conversation you need to have with your adult children before they start making decisions about your home and your belongings for you. That episode is important, and I don't want you to miss it. Now here's where most people get it wrong, and this is the part that actually makes the whole thing work. When we say we have zero motivation, what we usually mean is that the gap between where we are and where we need to get feels too wide to cross. And the brain, which is very good at protecting us from things that feel overwhelming, decides the safest move is to not start at all. So the tools I'm about to give you are not about forcing yourself to feel motivated. They're about making the gap small enough that your brain stops sounding the alarm, and they work best in sequence. The first one gets you started. The second keeps you there. The third keeps you from feeling alone. The fourth builds momentum. And the fifth protects your progress if you need to stop. The first tool is the 10-minute commitment. Now I know you may have heard some version of this before and tried it and it didn't work. Here's why it probably didn't. You committed to the task, not just the time. You told yourself you'd do 10 minutes of decluttering, and decluttering is big and undefined and emotionally heavy. The reframe is this. You're not committing to decluttering. You're committing to 10 minutes of touching things, not deciding, not sorting, just picking things up, moving them, looking at them. A visible timer handles the boundary so your brain doesn't have to. What happens in almost every case is that by minute 7 or 8, you get absorbed, a decision gets made almost without you noticing, and the timer goes off and you reset it. The second tool is pairing. Your brain doesn't resist the work itself. It resists the absence of pleasure while doing something hard, so attach something you genuinely enjoy to the session. A playlist from a decade of music you loved, an audiobook you've been putting off. After a few sessions, your brain starts associating that space with the pleasure, not just the effort. It sounds small. It changes everything. The third tool is inviting a witness, and I want to address the reason most people skip this one. You don't want anyone to see how bad it's gotten in there. That feeling is real and it's very common, but the person you invite is not a judge. You can tell them exactly that before they come in. I just need someone to sit with me while I do something hard. You don't have to do anything. Most people will say yes without hesitation. Going through a life is lonely work. A witness doesn't solve that, but they soften it, and sometimes softened is enough. The fourth tool is starting ugly. Don't start with the emotionally hard things. Start with the most visually offensive pile in the room, the one that irritates you every time you see it. Clear that first. When you see one surface cleared that wasn't cleared before, your brain releases a small reward. That's real, and it's enough to make you want to do it again. Small wins are not a consolation prize, they're the actual engine. The fifth tool is strategic pausing. When you genuinely need to stop, stop correctly. Write on a sticky note exactly where you left off, what box you were filling, what decision you were in the middle of, what was next. Stick it on the pile and leave the room knowing your progress is saved. You're not starting over next time, you're continuing. And continuing is infinitely easier than starting from nothing. Now let's talk about where your things are actually going, because knowing this makes letting go so much easier. For furniture, tools, or larger items, Facebook Marketplace is simpler than most people think. You open the app, tap the shop icon, tap Create New Listing, take one photo in decent lighting near a window, write a short description, set a price, even if it's just $1, and post it. Within hours, someone will message you, agree on a pickup time, come to your door, and take it directly from your hands. You see their face. You know where it's going. That exchange is completely different from dropping something in a donation bin. You're not releasing into the void. You're placing something into a specific person's life. For linens, kitchenware, and small appliances, women's shelters and hospitals in most cities will take these directly. Local senior centers often have specific wish lists and will sometimes arrange a pickup if you call ahead. One phone call usually opens the door. Knowing where your things are going changes how the decision feels. You're not throwing your life away. You're redistributing it into lives that need what you no longer use. By the end of hour 48, I want you to do one thing that might sound too simple for what you just went through. And I want to explain why it matters before I tell you what it is, because if you understand the reason, you'll actually do it. Your brain processes hard experiences better when they have a clear ending. Without a deliberate close, the work blurs into background noise, and you end up feeling vaguely exhausted without knowing why. A closing ritual tells your nervous system, that chapter is done. And that distinction between still being in the middle of something and actually finishing it matters more than most people realize. So here's what I want you to do. Open a window in the space you just cleared, even for a few minutes. There's something about fresh air in a newly cleared space that you have to experience to understand. Then make yourself one cup of something warm and bring it into that room. Sit in the space you created, not while checking your phone or planning what's still left to do. Just sit in it. Let the quiet of that room feel different from the quiet it had 48 hours ago, because it is different and you made it that way. Then take a piece of paper and write one sentence. One honest sentence about what the space feels like now compared to when you started. It doesn't need to be eloquent, it just needs to be true. Keep that piece of paper. Because decluttering isn't a single weekend event, it's something you return to. And on the days when you don't feel like starting again, that sentence is your evidence that you've already been on the other side. You know what it feels like, you can get back there. Before I let you go, drop a comment below and just name the space, the room, the corner, the chair, whatever it is that's been waiting. You don't have to commit to anything or explain anything, just name it. Something shifts when you stop keeping it to yourself. And the people watching this channel are not here to judge. They're standing in front of the same doors, feeling the same mix of ready and not quite ready. You're in good company. If this video helped you in any way, share it with someone who needs it. You already know who that person is. Subscribe to the Senior Reset if you haven't yet. Every week we go deeper into what living lighter, aging stronger, and actually enjoying this chapter of life really looks like. Not the polished version, the real one. I'll see you in the next one.